Hello everyone, how are you guys doing today? Hope you're doing well. Today, as you can see, I'm doing something a little different again. This is actually my first time in my life trying watercolor. Usually, when I draw portraits, I go all in on realism. I spend hours trying to get everything right, proportions, values, all the tiny details. But you know, people on the internet often say things like, why bother copying a photograph? And they say my drawing technique isn't fun because I take like 2 hours, even 4 hours sometimes, to get the job done. And honestly, I do get it. I've tried many times to loosen up my style, but somehow it still ends up looking very photo-like, and it takes such a long time to finish every single time. Let's be honest, who has 4 hours to finish a portrait, right? That's why I've been a bit absent these past few weeks. I wanted to reflect on things and try something different. So, today, I'm changing things up. I'm starting with a pen sketch, and I realized something interesting. Using a pen actually allows me to be looser. There's no undo, no overthinking, just committing to the lines, and it actually kind of feels freeing. On the left corner, you can see my previous study. I used a charcoal pencil and tried to mimic a pen sketch and watercolor style, and I think I found what I was looking for, that loose feeling. And because I want to bring more color into my sketchbook, I'm introducing watercolor into the process. Now this is something I've been avoiding for a long time. I never really liked it, just so you know. I couldn't control it. Things never turned out the way I planned. It always felt like the watercolor has a mind on its own. I hated it and avoided it like the plague. Whenever I want something done in color, I usually just do it in oil painting because that's what I've always been good at. Before I go a bit more technical here, I just want to quickly apologize. I was actually testing my DJI Pocket 3 for its video quality, getting ready for some upcoming travel, but in the middle of the sketching process, it unfortunately overheated and stopped recording. So there's a small portion of the coloring stage that's missing. This has never happened to me before, so it was a bit unexpected, but although I'm a wizard, I haven't quite learned how to reverse time yet, so this is unfortunately beyond my skill for now. But don't worry, I'll definitely be doing more of these pen, sketch and watercolor videos in the future, so you'll get to see the full process again. And if you want to watch the real-time version of this piece, you can join my Patreon or become a member on my YouTube channel. It really helps support me, and honestly, it motivates me to keep making more of these. I understand that not everybody is on Patreon, so I decided to open up YouTube membership this year as well. I really appreciate for all your support. So here's how I approached this piece. As you can see in the video, I didn't sketch anything beforehand. I just went straight in with a pen. But that doesn't mean I have no plan. Before starting, I already had a clear idea of what I wanted to draw and what my goal was. I kind of visualize it in my head first, the overall shape, the mood, and how loose I want it to feel. So when I start, I'm not completely guessing. For this sketch, my goal is to stay loose and really try not to focus on details or make everything fully readable. The one thing that has to be clear is the face. I'm drawing a Chinese girl wearing a cute hat, and that needs to be obvious. That's like the anchor of the whole drawing, but everything else can be pushed, simplified, or even a bit messy. The clothing, like the shawl, is more of a suggestion rather than something fully drawn out. So instead of carefully rendering it, I'm just using loose, messy lines, zigzags, wiggly strokes, just trying to capture the feeling of the form rather than describing it perfectly. It's almost like I'm hinting at it instead of explaining it. And at first, this feels very hard and unnatural for me. I think it's because I'm so used to controlling everything, checking proportions, refining lines, making sure every part makes sense. Here, I'm doing the opposite. I'm letting things stay rough, leaving lines unfinished and not correcting them, and that goes against my usual instinct. So it feels a bit uncomfortable at the beginning, like I don't fully trust what I'm doing. My hand wants to slow down and fix things, but I'm trying to resist that and just keep moving forward. I think the way I started learning this was actually through travel sketches. Whenever I go traveling, I bring my sketchbook with me and do quick urban pen sketches. Usually just simple subjects with clear shapes, like buildings, trees, Chinese temples, things that are easier to break down and draw quickly. But even then, I was only using pen, no watercolor, and certainly not a portrait, because I'm too scared to mess it up. And I think that's what makes today's drawing feel different already. It's less about accuracy and more about energy and movement on the page. I'm not really thinking too much about mistakes here. If a line goes wrong, it goes wrong. I just keep moving and don't stop too long in one area. And if I do make a mistake, I just add more lines on top of it to break it up and make it less obvious. Sometimes those mistakes actually add more character to the drawing. It's more about reacting to what I'm putting down on the paper rather than trying to control everything. I'm kind of responding to each line as it happens, building it up gradually instead of planning every single step. So at this point, I've finished sketching the face and most of the jacket, and I just want to take a quick look at what I have so far. Even though I didn't go into details, I think the face still reads quite well. You can kind of see her expression, the direction she's looking, and that's really all I need at this stage. It's not perfect, but it feels alive, and that's more important here. For the clothing though, it's a bit different. The shapes aren't very clear, and the shawl is kind of getting lost in all these random lines. It's more like a suggestion right now, rather than something fully defined. But I'm okay with that, because I know once I bring in the colour later, I can start to separate the shapes more and make things a bit clearer. So right now, it might look a bit messy, but it's all part of the process. And at this stage, I feel like I've already put everything I need onto the paper. The main idea is there, the face is there, the overall structure is there. So right now, I'm not really trying to add anything important anymore. I'm just going around, adding a few random lines here and there, breaking things up a little bit, and making the bottom part feel more sketchy and a bit more interesting. It's less about building and more about balancing what's already there. I'm also trying not to overdo it. I'm telling you, this is very easy to overdo. It's very easy at this point to keep adding lines and accidentally ruin the looseness, so I'm kind of trying to hold back and just touching it lightly. So now that the easy part is done, it's time to move on to the watercolor. As you can see, I'm only working with a few colors at the moment, just the primary colors: blue, red, yellow, and then some brown and a bit of dark grey. Mainly because I honestly don't know yet what colors I like when it comes to watercolor. And I have no idea how they really interact with each other when mixed, so for now, I'm just keeping it simple with the basics. I'm going to start with the skin, and here I'm trying to mix some yellow and red to get an orangey tone, but to my surprise, this doesn't feel like mixing oil paint at all. The orange is quite unpredictable, and it doesn't come out the way I expect. But I just have to push on, so I'm working with whatever I have on the palette. At this point, the colour feels like it's lacking a bit of red, so I mix a slightly stronger reddish tone to touch up the cheeks and the lips. I'm not really trying to colour it perfectly, and I'm also not strictly following my pen lines here. If it goes over the lines a bit, I don't really mind. The main focus is just to lay down the colours loosely, almost like a wash, and let it sit naturally on the paper. And since I already have this red and yellow mix on my palette, I think it makes sense to use it for the shawl and the hands as well, so I don't have to keep remixing the same colour again later. The brush I'm using here is actually a brush pen from Pastel. It's mainly used for urban sketching, and the idea is you don't need to carry a separate cup of water everywhere you go because the water is stored inside the pen itself. I bought 2 of these, one small and one larger. So for the jacket, since it's a bigger area, I'm switching to the larger brush pen to cover it more easily. I keep reminding myself not to paint the details here, especially on the jacket and the folds. It's very tempting to start defining every crease and shape, but I'm trying to hold back. So instead, I'm just loosely placing the watercolour in simple blobs, letting the shapes suggest themselves rather than clearly describing every fold. There's no real detailing at this stage, just focusing on getting the colour down and letting it sit naturally on the paper. Also, with this first watercolour portrait exercise, I realised that I'm not always able to mix colours the way I want. In oil painting, it's very straightforward. You have red and blue, you mix them together and you get a nice clean purple as expected. But here, when I mix 2 colours, they sometimes turn a bit muddy or just not quite the colour I had in mind. So I think for my next purchase, I might need to get a few more specific colours, probably some purples since I really like that colour, and maybe some warmer yellows to help with skin tones. For the next colour, I'm moving on to blues. This is actually my favourite colour to use, but unfortunately this is where the camera overheated and I didn't realise it in time. So part of this process didn't get recorded, but I'll make sure to create more videos like this in the future so you guys can see the process more clearly. But basically, what I did was lay in a light blue wash across the entire jacket first. Then I gradually added more blue into the mix to deepen the values and create a bit more contrast. After finishing the blue, I realized I completely missed the hat, so I went back and mixed a bit more red to fill that in as well. So in my opinion, after trying watercolour, it's actually not as bad or as scary as I thought, especially when I approach it loosely like this. In fact, it feels more fun to do, and honestly, it's even easier than doing a fully photorealistic pencil drawing. The whole process only took me around 35 minutes, which is quite surprising. It doesn't feel nearly as exhausting as doing realism, where I have to stay focused for hours. There's less pressure to get everything perfect, and I don't feel stuck fixing small mistakes all the time. This feels lighter, more relaxed, and something I can actually see myself doing more often. I think this is a really good way for me to loosen up my drawing. With watercolour, everything is a bit unpredictable and I can only control it to a certain extent. But with pencil, especially when it's sharp, I'm in full control. I can render everything very precisely. And maybe that's the difference. Here, I'm not trying to control everything anymore. I actually feel really glad I tried this, and at the same time, I kind of regret not trying it earlier. But I think moving forward, I definitely want to explore this more. For me, art has to evolve. For years, I've been trying to loosen up. Maybe this is something I've been missing, and maybe to you as well. If you guys have tried watercolor before, let me know what you think of it.